Yes. What's happening, everybody? It's Tuesday night, 10 o'clock Central Time. This Saturday, we are going down to Brazil, not you and me, but the royal we, the UFC, to have two title fights for UFC 283. The first one is going to be Glover Teixeira versus Jamal Hill for the 205-pound championship, and then the flyweight championship of the world between Davison Figueiredo and Brandon the Assassin Baby Moreno. Going to be a fantastic card, two fantastic title fights, and then on the rest of the main card, we've got Gilbert Burns versus Neil Magny. We've got Lucky Lauren Murphy versus the very handsome Jessica Andrade. We've also got Johnny Walker versus Paul Craig. I mean, really an action-packed main card. We've got the debut of the Bonfim brothers, two really exciting, well-rounded, great boxers that are prospects from Brazil. We're going to see a Brazilian in every damn fight, and there are a lot of them that are favored here and have really good matchups. And we're going to go through all 15 of these fights. I've got write-ups, I think, on 13 of 15 of them, but we've definitely got our work cut out for us tonight, everybody. This is a lot of fights. It's a lot of work to break down 15 fights, but when you do that, you are going to reward yourself by finding spots, finding ways to stack cash tickets like flapjacks and make these bookies cry when they're dumb enough to take our bets. So let's find these spots. Let's see what's going on with you guys in the chat and see if we can take us through all these fights tonight, finish with the track bets that I'm going to give you at the end of the show, and then really finish with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Which one of these fighters is going to have the most dominating, exciting victory on Saturday? And I can't wait to talk about it with you guys. Who is hanging out with us in the chat right now? Let's see. We got first in the room is my guy Mark Schillingberg saying, let's go. I'm ready for some Just the Tip with Uncle Weezy, featuring guest appearances by Bootsy. I'm really liking the Bonfim brothers parlay on Saturday. Thoughts? My thoughts is that I think that both the Bonfim brothers are going to lose. They're both really good prospects, you guys. I'm impressed by both of them. I'm not impressed by the competition that either one of them has faced thus far. And when they get this next step up, I think they're getting opponents that are not going to make them comfortable, not going to let them control the pace of the fight. And when that happens, I think we're going to find out a lot about both of these guys. But it's in Brazil. There could be a little bit of home cooking there. But both of these guys are finishers, really. So it's going to be interesting to see how these fights do take place. But I think that the lines are entirely too wide on both of these guys. We got Martin Durmov in the room. What's up, Martin? Good to see you in here. Saying, oi, super excited for this weekend. Lots of spots, and I love laying a lot of juice. Cashed out big last pay-per-view. Looking to do the same this weekend. Best of luck to all. Hefty parlay is Joe Benavidez, Jailton Almeida, Gilbert Burns at minus 174, and then you're going to add RoboCop, Thiago Moises, and Jessica Andrade to push that six-legger up to plus 210. Lots of juice, but very confident in all. Like Pateria and Walker as well, but both are hard to trust. My money with you, absolutely. Very hard to trust your money with, both of those guys. But, yeah, I mean, I think that hits. There's a lot of big favorites on this card. I personally don't get in the habit of parlaying big juice favorites, especially when it winds up being minus money. But I've been happier since I've stayed away from the parlays. But I hope it works out for you, Martin, because those are all spots that I do think cash. Daz Files is in the room saying, what's up? 2,100 subs. What a great and growing channel. Best wishes for the year, Weezy. I thank you, Daz. You've been here since day one, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for the warm wishes. And we will keep growing this channel as we keep giving out the best MMA advice that I possibly can on helping you guys make some money betting on this beautiful sport. We got friend of the show and greatest of all time 205er, hoping to be the greatest of all time heavyweight, Mr. John Jones. Bones saying, I'm back, fellas. I will redefine greatness when I defeat Cyril Gane and establish myself as one of the best MMA fighters to ever do it. March 4th, 2023 is my coronation. Champion 2023. I think John Jones is doing something right here that he very rarely does, and that's being humble. Because that sentence establish myself as one of the best MMA fighters to ever do it. I think there's an argument that Jon Bones Jones was the best to ever do it. Undefeated as a professional. He defended his title so many times and had so many dominant performances. Jon Jones fighting Cyril Gane in March. That is going to be fun to see Jon Jones make his return at heavyweight. Can't wait for that fight. My initial lean was Cyril Gane, but I forgot about Jon Jones's wrestling, man. That's going to be a big, big factor in this fight. Can't wait to see the great Johnny Bones Jones back in the UFC cage doing what he does best, fucking up fighters. Welcome back, Jon Jones. Corey Mann saying, "Oi, what's up, Corey?" We got Papa Chung saying, "Damn, on 2,100 subs, man's gonna go Hollywood before too long." Oh, dude, I've already went Hollywood. Don't kid yourself. I've taken all this YouTube money that I've made, Papa Chuck, and I'm getting an ass implant. My ass is already really big, but it's got to be bigger. You know, I wanted to, you know, move heads. I want it to be the only thing that people see when I walk in the room. Tight pants, big, round, bouncy ass. And I've saved up the money to do that. So I'm going to have to find time to get that surgery done, really go Hollywood, have the biggest ass in the room, the best ass of any MMA capper on YouTube. So I'm trying to go Hollywood. It's just taking a lot longer than I would have liked. But thanks for hanging out with me, Papa Chuck. Appreciate you for being here on the show. We got Nigel Lee, a.k.a. Money Bank Lock, saying, "Oi." And we got Corey Mann saying, "Hey, Weezy, I'm in a Rainmakers contest where I need to create a 5-fighter lineup, including one as a captain, 1.5 times points, but I can only choose from Brazilian fighters. You have Jailton as my captain, Figueiredo, Nunes, Burns, and Teixeira. Do you think I should replace someone with Walker, or do any other Brazilian fighters stick out?" No, man, I would keep it with that. I think Warlley Alves wins. I think Simon Oliveira wins. But those are the guys that I would go with. I like those spots that you've chosen. And, you know, I mean, if you can get RoboCop in there instead of well, you probably can't get him in there instead of Teixeira because Teixeira's salary so probably a lot lower. So no, man, I would stick with that lineup that you have there. Daz File saying, "What's up to all the crew here in the room?" Cornbread is in the room saying, "The more I think about it, I think he'll catch his Glover. Even with Glover's advantages on paper, that is going to be such a good fight, Cornbread. I can't wait for that one." M.A. Laren saying, "Oi, hello, Unc. How are we starting the year with the cash flapjacks? Thanks in advance. Bad week last week for me, but I didn't have any strong leans. The 3 units and bets that I had strong leans on were all canceled. So I wound up only having 0.5 units on Carlos Hernandez by decision and 0.25 units on Ronnie Barcelos' money line. Neither one of them cash, but when you have, you know, a plus 460 and a plus 700, chances are you are going to lose both of them. Kept it really small last week, 0.75 units. But the ass shaving of the week came through, and we hit 3 out of the 4 legs of the greasy parlay that I put out on Twitter. But it was just a week where I didn't have any strong leans, so I kept it small. And if you're going to get reverse swept, it might as well be when you only have less than 1 unit in total bets. So it was a good way to stay small on a card where I didn't have any strong leans. Tried to hit a couple of like home runs with big plus money bets. Came up snake eyes, but only lost 0.75 units. And we got Papa Chuck wishing Daz Files a happy new year. Andy Becerra saying, "Oi!" And we got Sparring with Reality, my guy Luke saying, "Weezy, I need a promo by you on Dolidze trying to steal homegirl Jujua. This is just unacceptable." Yeah, man, look, I saw this on Twitter. I was going to show you guys this here first. This is my guy, Best Fight Picks, Dan, showed this little clip here of Mauricio Shogun Hua with a soccer ball here. Or wait, damn it, I haven't even shared my screen. So let me flip back this. Escape. Okay, and then I'm going to share my screen with you guys. And let's check this out. Shogun looking good with that soccer ball. And then look at him here now. Look at him just get nasty here. Check it out. Oh, no. Oh, no. Shogun's getting old, you guys. He's getting old. This reminds me of Alexei Oleinik trying to get his sweatpants off before the Alir Latifi fight. When I had one unit on Alexei Oleinik and I saw him trying to get his sweatpants off, and I'm like, oh, I'm definitely gonna lose this unit. I mean, Oleinik almost got fucked up worse by his sweatpants than he did by a Latifi, and now we're seeing it here with Shogun, who I love it. But my guy Luke did post on Twitter earlier, and I laughed my ass off. This picture right here saying, "Don't you dare, Roman." And you see Roman with, I mean, Roman's a lusty lad. I mean, you gotta love this guy. Not only is he an absolute savage in the cage, but he's a handsome man and he's a lusty lad. This dude is out there crushing ass. And the ass that he crushes, does he care if they're married? No. Why should he? What the fuck are they going to do to Roman? So this is troubling, though, because we all know that Liana Jojua belongs to my man Luke. That is Luke's woman. That is his favorite fighter. And we see Roman in here with that lusty stare, looking at Liana saying, maybe you want to come back to my place, sweetheart. And we as a MMA cappers community can't let this happen, ladies and gentlemen. We can't. This is not going to stand. We can't let Luke be taken, by Roman Dolidze here. But the lustiness of Roman Dolidze is something that is going to be very difficult for one Liana Jojua to resist. And we've got to make sure, we've got to help out Luke as a family here to make sure that he never gets that close to her again, because he can impregnate her with just that stare right there. And I think we all know that. But Luke, it's always good to see you in here, brother. Can't wait to break down this card with you guys here. We got Nigel Lee saying, Daz Files, you as well, my guy. We got Jenna Marie in the room saying, Uncle Weezy. What's up, Jenna? Good to see you in here. We got Daniel Hernandez saying, oi, let's get it, Unc. And we got Nigel Lee saying, fresh off an 11-unit night. I bet 3-leg parlay smash. Oh, nice, dude. That's one bet. 3-leg parlay smash. That's awesome, dude. Well done. We got Mark Schillingberg saying, wow, I just got done watching the Ariel interview with Francis. Excellent stuff there. Have you had a chance to check it out, Weezy? I have not checked it out because I've been breaking down these 15 fights for the last 3 days, and I just don't have time to do anything else besides sleep, eat, walk Bootsy, and then watch fights and write them up and get my stats in order. And by the way, I'm almost done with my data import of the last 10 years of stats. Just got a half year to go. And after I'm done with content on Wednesday, I'm going to be looking to update all of my templates. And I'm hoping that the Patreon members will have new and updated stats for the next card, which will be in 2 weeks. Silky B is in the room saying, yes. We got Nigel Lee saying the same coming for this card. Let's get it. We got Thor saying, I definitely live in the wrong country where I should be sweating. It's currently 5 a.m. in my place, and it's probably the time when I should go to sleep. But quick oi from Uncle from across the ocean. Thor, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for hanging out. Now you can go to bed, man, and I appreciate you staying up to give this channel a view and to hang out with us for a little bit. And ring a ding ding. We got my guy Corey Mann with a $5 donation here, helping keep the lights on in Uncle Weezy's studio, supporting the channel. Big ups to you, my brother. It is much, much appreciated. Low CT City Ortega saying, oi. We got Corey Mann saying, let's get those bookies. Let's do it, Corey. We got Gorilla Gamble saying, what's up, Uncle Weezy? We got Sports Card Mover saying, baby bro takes care of business. Runt gets KO'd. Let's go. Moises, Nunes, Almeida for a very handsome, profitable parlay. Yeah, they should. I mean, I would be shocked if any of those three lost. You're doing 3-leg parlays and ain't getting plus money. You shouldn't be gambling. That's just facts. Yeah, I mean, it's not a good long-term strategy, but sometimes you can make it happen, man. 60% implied probability, and I cap it at 70%. Yeah, Value City. There you go, man. Matt Hamill, GOAT. Yeah, he did get that win against John Jones. We got the General Alex Ramirez in the room. What's up, dude? We got Prince of Mischief saying, ass shaving prediction, Thiago Moises. I wish I had him last time when he got that win. I think I should have had him because he wound up he wound up getting an easy win, and I think whoever I chose for the ass shaving that week when Moises beat Yagos wound up not working out for me. So, and we got a donation here from Kevin Nicholson, PT, ring a ding ding, saying this is Jessica Andrade's first fight back after surgery. I think minus 500 is not justified for this reason. I'll sprinkle Murphy. Thank you, Weezy. Thank you, Kevin. And one of the bets that I'm looking at, Kevin, is Lauren Murphy by decision plus 700. She's not finishing anybody at this level that's not named Lilia Shakarova or Mara Romero Barella. She's not going to get Jessica Andrade out of there. So I think if you're on that lucky Lauren Murphy side, hit that decision prop. And at plus 700, it's definitely worth a look, especially with Jessica Andrade just coming off of surgery. But thank you for the donation, Kevin. That is much appreciated. Corey saying, I can get any 5, no salary cap. Oh, man. Then I would probably want RoboCop in there, Corey, man, instead of Teixeira. Nigel Lee saying, at Mushroom, what's up? Mushroom is in the room saying, Nigel's one of the real ones. Adam Mack saying, casual viewer of yours, coming to you for advice on Bonfim brother this weekend. All the best, Weezy. Yeah, we'll talk about both of those fights. I do have one bet in one of those fights, and we're going to be talking about it, man. It's going to be those are some interesting fights. Cornbread saying, oof. We got Papa Chuck saying, Mushroom just making jewelry. How's the weather out east? We got everybody saying hello to everybody else. We've got I hope everyone wins, but I also get a laugh when people lose parlays playing 5 minus. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you, dude. Martin Dermov, ring a ding ding. $2 towards Uncle Weezy's Brazilian butt lift. I appreciate that, man. Like I said, man, this is I want heads to turn when they see me in tight pants. And they already do, but it's got to be bigger. It's got to be better. And Martin Dermov helping make his Uncle Weezy's dream come true by contributing to the ass job. Much appreciated. Cornbread saying, hey, Mushroom, I low-key follow your picks in chat in the replays. And we got Mushroom saying, at Papa Chuck. DFS by the numbers saying, Luke shouldn't be worried about Dalidze. He should be worried about Shamil. The handsome Shamil Abdurakhimov can get any girl he wants, especially with that suit. And, I mean, he's absolutely right. And, I mean, if we go to Shamil here, you see how handsome he is right there in that picture. And then it's also, you know, the Tapology picture of Shamil Abdurakhimov is absolutely unmatched. And we have to look at it. All right, so let's get that. And we go down to the handsome Shamil Abdurakhimov right here. And the Tapology picture is just absolutely perfect. What a handsome man with the belt, the Percivet FC blazer, the fist. Huh? Now that's a dude you got to worry about stealing your wife or your girlfriend right there. The handsome Shamil Abdurakhimov. Is he going to win on Saturday? No. But he's winning in life, ladies and gentlemen. That's all you need to know at this juncture. But here we go. Let's see. We got Sports Card Mover. Math is simple. Use it. Not that simple, man. I have a statistics degree. Math is hard when you get to the upper levels, but it is the truth, and you can prove it. And that is what is so fantastic about math is it's always a guide. It's always useful. It's always something that's worth learning. We got Mushroom saying, what's up to Jenna? We got Prince of Mischief saying, Peter Yan will fight Merab Dvalishvili on March 11th. Wow. That is awesome. The Cuban Assassin saying, what it do, Weezy? Let's get that cheese. I need to get that Megan Anderson premium full bush OnlyFans account. That Australian bush is thick. So maybe I need to spend some money on that too. You know, there's a lot of things out there to spend your money on, and you got to make the right choices with your money, just like you got to make your right choices with the bets that you make. All right, we got Mushroom saying, what's up? It's Cornbread. We got rest in peace, Shamil, for sure, man. And DJ saying, fuck, marry, kill, Andrade, Murphy, Josiane, Nunes. All right, so I am marrying Jessica Andrade without question. Guess I got to kill Joseph Benavidez, and then I guess I'm fucking Lauren Murphy. Yeah, Jessica Andrade is so handsome. I would have no problem being the second most handsome person in that couple. So there you go. Sports Card Mover says, "Oh, what's up, man? Good to see you here." DFS by the numbers, laughing out. Hold both of them, Brady. You guys, we got a lot of work to do. We got 15 fights to break down. I've got notes on 13 of them. And let's start right now with the Saimon Oliveira versus Daniel Marcos fight. So with Saimon Oliveira, we've got a Muay Thai style striker. A lot of spinning back fists, high amplitude front kicks, jump knees. He keeps his hands high and he throws to knock you out. Definitely not a point fighter on the feet. He does his best grappling work along the cage. His open mat wrestling is kind of sloppy, but he finishes takedowns with his cage wrestling. And when his opponent puts his back up against the cage, he will hunt for his signature submission, which is the guillotine choke. Saimon's frantic style is not ideal for conditioning, and he will get tired because he pushes the pace and because he explodes into everything that he does, whether it's submission attempts or strikes. But Saimon does have the cardio to push that crazy pace for quite a while. He's a finisher. He's finished 16 of 18 wins inside the distance. His pro record in decisions is 2-4, and he's never been finished as a pro. Saimon loves going for that guillotine, and his striking is meant to knock you out. So he will lose some minutes and control time off of his back, going for submissions, giving up takedowns while he goes for that neck. But he's confident losing those minutes, knowing that he can finish you later as his opponents get tired. And Saimon tends to push that pace for the full 3 rounds. Now, Daniel Marcos is from Peru, and his Dana White Contender Series win was his first time fighting out of his native Peru. The regional scene footage on Daniel doesn't tell us much. The competition is incredibly low level. The tape study is mostly guys holding each other against the cage. Daniel showed good boxing in his DWCS fight against Lewis. He outlanded him 74-41 at distance, and he stuffed 11 of the 13 takedowns that came his way. And he only gave up 160 seconds of control time on those 13 takedown attempts. Unfortunately, this fight tells us next to nothing because Daniel's opponent was a very low level, and he only had a 70-inch reach. This is a real show-me spot for Marcos because Oliveira is a well-rounded, experienced opponent with excellent conditioning who looks to finish fights, and he can be dangerous wherever the fight goes. Saimon Oliveira is going to have a 3-inch reach advantage, the overall and the UFC experience advantages here. He's got the finish stats and the durability advantage, the grappling, and the strength of schedule advantages here. While Marcos is 2 years younger, he's 3 inches taller, and he's shown better UFC striking metrics thus far in comparison to Oliveira. Excuse me, guys. Daniel showed excellent distance striking and great low leg kicks in his DWCS fight. Marcos should keep this fight close as long as he can keep it standing and make this a distance striking battle. And he can win the fight if it's that way as well. It's just, I think that everybody's they're underestimating Oliveira's power on the feet, I think. I think Oliveira has the advantage here. I like the experience, the strength of schedule, the grappling advantages here. So I think he's the likely favorite. And I think there's a good chance he could finish Marcos by sub. But yeah, the pick is going to be Saimon Oliveira. And I think that he is going to get it done here inside the distance. So let's find the picks. Yeah, 0 of 15 picks. And I am going to pick Saimon Oliveira to win this one by second round submission. All right, there we go. And the next fight, let's see here. Oh, yeah, and let's see here. We got Cashapuzzo saying, thanks for the ass shaving pick last week. We cashed in, Weezy. God bless. Go. Appreciate you, Cash. That's good, man. Yeah, that ass shaving the week, Charles Johnson made it look easy. Marcos decision says Mushroom. My guy Luke says Marcos' last regional fight was 3+ years ago. Thought he looked much better on the Contender Series. Guy appears to have leveled up a bit. Yes, and he did leave Peru and came, I think, to the States to train, but I'm not sure where he went to train. But he did have to leave home, and there was a lot of time between that between the last fight in Peru and the Dana White Contender Series. But The problem with that fight, Luke, in my opinion, is that the opponent, Brandon Lewis, I don't think that guy is even close to UFC level. So I think we're going to find out a lot more with Saimon Oliveira, just a way more dangerous and well-rounded opponent than what Brandon Lewis was. So, but yeah, that's a great point that Luke brought up there, is that there was a big gap between the last Peruvian fight where when you watch that fight on tape from Marcos, you don't see anything impressive, but the striking and the low leg kicks look fantastic in that Dana White Contender Series fight. Yeah, man. Gotcha. All right. So, yeah, I'm picking Oliveira to win this one by submission. I think he's just the far more dangerous fighter here. And even if this does go the full 3 rounds, I think Oliveira, the moments that he wins, will probably be a little bit more than what Daniel Marcos wins. But I have no bets on this fight, and I don't plan to play it yet. The next fight that we're going to talk about, and I absolutely forgot to put up my banner here. Saimon Oliveira for this fight is a -150 favorite. Daniel Marcos +130 as an underdog, and the fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at -160 here. Now, the next fight is going to be Josiane Nunes, and she is going to be squaring off against Zarah Fairn. There's really not much to talk about here because Zarah Fairn just doesn't show up for fights. And if I were her, I wouldn't show up for this one either. Let me get to my notes, though. When we talk about Josie's got rare power for a woman her size. She's way undersized for the women's featherweight division, but she has the perfect style to make up for her lack of size. She walks forward like a zombie. She throws overhands and hooks like she's throwing a fastball. Josie's finished 7 of her 9 wins by KO. And I'm surprised Ramona Pasquale lasted the full 15 against Josie, because she got 7 shades of shit beaten out of her in that fight. Josie could be taken down and held down, but that's not going to be a problem against Zarah, who is a pure striker. Josie was at a 7-inch reach disadvantage in the Bea Malecki fight, and she will be at a 5-inch reach disadvantage here. Nunes needs to do what she's always done, march forward like Michael Myers with a machete, not allow Zarah to operate at striking distance where she could pop her jab and kicks, maintain distance, and win minutes. So, and if you watch the tape on Josie Nunes, that's basically what she does. She's not going to just stand in front of you and make it kind of like a distance point fighting match. She's walking forward and she's looking to fucking kill you. She's looking to launch your head out of the cage, several rows out of that cage. So, and we've seen Josie do that exact same thing to a very similar style fighter in Bea Malecki. Zarah Fairn is a liar. She claims to be 5'8", but that bitch is 5'11", 6 feet if she's an inch. She's essentially a pure striker. She uses her size and length to kind of stalk on the outside, stay out of range defensively, and once she finds the range she's safe at, she starts to try to pressure and back her opponent up and unload with her strikes. But she doesn't really have any power. And if she can't get Josie's respect, she's going to get walked down and knocked out by the fighter with the power advantage, and that is certainly Joe Benavidez. Zarah has an awful ground game. She claims to be a BJJ purple belt, but it doesn't look like it in the cage. Zarah has yielded almost 76% control time to her opponents in the 2 ass shavings she suffered at the hands of Megan Anderson and Felicia Spencer. It'll be interesting to see how Zarah deals with the pressure of Josie and if she can stop any takedown attempts that might come from Nunes, but that's not really Nunes' game. She's attempted 0 takedowns in her 2 UFC fights. If Zarah gets the stand-up fight she wants and has the footwork and movement to deal with the pressure and power of Nunes, she could shock the world here, but I don't think it's even likely that she shows up for the fight. Nunes is 10 years younger, has slight overall and UFC experience advantages. She's the much better finisher, the far more powerful fighter. Zarah's a pure striker who needs to use her 7-inch reach advantage and around 10-inch height advantage that she's going to have in this fight to stay on the outside, win a point fighting distance striking battle. I think Josie has nothing to fear from the power of the 39-year-old Fairn, so I see her marching forward, throwing bombs, KOing Fairn in the first or second round, and that's if Zarah bothers to show up for what promises to be a violent ass shaving. This is Josiane Nunes. by however she wants it. And I'm going to pick her to win by first round knockout. And, look, you're not fooling anybody, Joe Benavidez. I get it. You've run into some really tough fighters. You've lost to Davison Figueiredo, Brandon Moreno, guys that are at the top of the men's flyweight division, and you want to taste gold, okay? But this. You're not fooling anybody. Who are you crapping? This is. I've said it too many times already. I know you guys are sick of me saying it, but I'm not going to stop saying it. I want a picture of Josiane Nunes and Joe Benavidez in the same room at the same time. And I expect Joe Benavidez to provide that picture because it's on him. I don't believe you, Joe. Don't believe you. You're not fooling me. You're not fooling my guy Brady. You're not fooling any of us. We see through you like used Neutrogena, my friend. And this will, I promise, this won't stop until you provide that picture of you in the same room with Josiane Nunes. All right? We're done talking about this fight. Oh, God, I hate to have to do this every week, you guys. I shouldn't have to do this every week, but I want that picture, okay? Next fight, Danish Dynamite. Nicolas Dalby will be squaring off against Warlley Alves. This is a fun fight. Really looking forward to this one. We've got Nicolas Dalby as the underdog at plus 105. We got Warlley Alves minus 125. Fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 140. All right. So, when we talk about Warlley Alves, this dude is super explosive, you guys. Whether he goes for submissions, throws leg kicks, or overhand rights, he's always looking to finish fights. He's solid everywhere. His kickboxing is excellent. He has great leg kicks. He has 3 UFC wins by knockout, and he has 3 UFC knockdowns. He will be the far more dangerous and powerful striker while this fight is on the feet. Alves has had some nice success in the grappling and clinch exchanges as well in the UFC. He's accrued 25.4% control time while allowing only 17%, and he is 52% accurate on his takedown attempts while showing 78% takedown defense at the UFC level. Dalby only has 66% takedown defense, and he's allowing 28% control time to his opponents. So not only do I believe Warlley's more dangerous on the feet, but I also think he's more likely to win minutes in the grappling exchanges here. Plus, Warlley's fighting at home in Brazil. Definitely like this spot for Alves. Now, Nick Dalby's 38 years old. He's never finished a UFC win, and it looks like he's at a minute winning deficit in this spot as well. That being said, Dalby relies on his fantastic conditioning and durability, which are 2 qualities that Alves lacks. Warlley is so front-loaded and explosive that he's had a hard time pushing a pace for 15 minutes, especially when grappling is involved. And Dalby is durable enough to make this hell for Warlley should it go over 1.5 rounds. And Nick is still there and pressuring Alves. That's when Alves usually starts to break. Nick's got a karate striking style. He outvolumes his opponents, and he has landed 0 UFC knockdowns while absorbing 4. He needs to break his opponents with volume, pressure, pace, and conditioning, and that will be possible against Alves. This is a great potential spot to bet the draw, in my opinion, and potentially even a 3rd-round prop for Nick Dalby due to the conditioning, pacing, and durability gaps here. Dalby will have a very hard time, in my opinion, trying to win minutes in the grappling exchanges in the first 2 rounds of this fight. So Alves is 6 years younger here. That's significant. He's got 4 more UFC fights, a couple more minutes in the UFC cage. He's got the power, accuracy, and better chin in the striking. He's got the better wrestling. He's the better minute winner in the grappling exchanges. And he's the more dangerous submission grappler here. And he's fought the better UFC competition on the whole. Dalby's got a 2-inch reach advantage. He's the more experienced professional. And he definitely has the durability, conditioning, and pace advantages here. Both guys have fought very good competition, but Alves is fighting at home, and he's just far more dangerous, young, and well-rounded, in my opinion. So Alves' money line with a Dalby 3rd-round hedge is probably how I would play this fight. I know that I've missed the boat on Alves. He was plus money last week. Now that money is definitely coming in on him, and he is sitting around minus 130 on FanDuel, minus 120 on DraftKings. And we've just seen the money come in from plus 145 on DraftKings all the way down to minus 120 now. So definitely, we've missed the boat a little bit on Alves, but this fight is still pretty close to a pick'em. And I think when you look at the stylistic matchup here, Dalby's never finishing anybody. So, it's hard to see him coming out and blasting Warlley early in this fight. But I could see Warlley, because Nick Dalby is so durable, I could see him going out there and winning the first, having a big second, and then just realizing I'm not going to be able to get this guy out of here, and having to hold on for dear life in the third round when he's tired, when he's slower, and when Dalby's just got this indomitable will. You have to kill this guy to get him out of there. And he never quits. So it's a fascinating fight. But I do like Warlley Alves quite a bit. And I think that he's one of the better spots on this card. He's not overpriced. I think there's a lot of stylistic advantages to the way that he fights here. And I think he could be the better minute winner and moment winner in this spot. So Warlley Alves at minus 120, I think, is a very bettable line, even though we missed the majority of the line movement here. I think that this line should even be further in favor of Warlley Alves. So the pick is going to be Warlley Alves to win by decision because Nick Dalby is incredibly durable. All right. So the next fight that we're going to talk about is going to be Ismael Bonfim against Terrance T-Rex McKinney. Bonfim plus 106. Terrance McKinney minus 126. The fight doesn't go to decision. Juice to the tits at minus 600. So the bookies are telling you they don't think that there's much of a chance that this thing sees the bell, and I agree with them. So we're going to start talking about Ismael Bonfim. He's a fantastic prospect, you guys. He's turned pro at the age of 15. He has 21 pro fights, despite the fact he's only 27 years old. And he's got 168 minutes in the pro cage. 18-3 record, 12 finishes in his wins, 8 knockouts, 4 submissions. Ismael's best quality is his boxing. He has great hands. He rips to the body. He's got great footwork. He moves well laterally, so he's hard to find. He's won 17 of his last 18 fights, with the only loss in the last 18 fights coming to Renato Moicano back in 2014 when he was just 19 years old. As a matter of fact, one of his other 2 sub-losses came against Adriano Moraes back in 2011 when he was 16 years old. Adriano is now a 20-4 mixed martial artist who just lost to Demetrius Johnson in one championship. The only problem here is that there aren't many wins for Ismael Bonfim that lead me to believe he will be okay against a well-rounded, explosive finisher like McKinney. We're going to find out a lot about Ismael's durability on Saturday. An interesting stat is Ismael is 6-0 in his career in decisions, while Terrance has never seen the scorecards in his entire pro career. And with Terrance McKinney, you can't talk about Terrance without talking about how explosive this kid is, how fast he starts fights. He comes out blasting like Yosemite Sam, and if he can't finish you in the first 3 or 4 minutes, then he gasses out and he gets finished himself. All 17 fights that Terrance McKinney has fought as a pro have finished inside the distance, and 16 of those 17 fights have finished under 1.5 rounds. So Terrance is the definition of a killer-be-killed fighter, but don't get it twisted. Terrance isn't just a killer-be-killed Tasmanian devil. He's very skilled, very well-rounded. He's explosive and powerful on the feet with massive KO power and tons of volume. He switches stats. He switches stances. He's got a bunch of variety to his strikes. He shows devastating knees and head kicks. And in addition to that, he was a nationally ranked high school and college wrestler. He's averaging 5.11 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he has well over 62% control time on the aggregate at the UFC level if you include the control time that he accrued in the Sean Woodson fight. If you aren't durable, you literally have no chance of surviving the first round with Terrance because of the rare combination of power, athletic ability, wrestling, and submission grappling that this kid brings. If Terrance refined his style just a bit to pace himself better and utilize his wrestling, back takes, and choke attempts more, I think he could be a real problem at 155. But Terrance is only 27 years old. So there's a lot of room left for growth in both of these young men, McKinney and Bonfim. McKinney now actually is 28 and Bonfim is 27. So these guys are both very young and both still improving. And don't forget, Ismael Bonfim's been a pro since he was 15 years old. So this is a fascinating fight. Ismael's got the better pacing and technical boxing here. Ismael has 4 more pro fights and almost 130 more minutes in the pro cage in comparison to Terrance. He's also the better minute winner here, being 6-0 in decisions, while Terrance has never been to a decision. And that being said, Terrance is 2 inches taller, has a 2-inch reach advantage, and he switches stances. He's the far more explosive athlete and more powerful finisher. He's the far better wrestler here, and he should be able to dictate when this fight goes to the ground. And I also believe he will be the more dangerous back taker and submission grappler while it's there. The big difference in this fight is output, pacing, and conditioning as a result of the prior 2 factors. The longer this fight goes, the more dangerous Bonfim becomes. We don't really know how durable Ismael is because he's never been in the cage recently with a fighter the quality of McKinney. I would be shocked if this fight went the distance, and I think that McKinney by first round sub is going to be the result here. It's such a good fight, and we're going to find out so much about the Bonfim brothers on Saturday. I think they're both really fantastic prospects with a very high ceiling in terms of how far that they can go riding their skill sets to wins in the UFC level. So great fight. I'm picking Terrance McKinney to do what he does, win fights early in the fight, and really just go out there and shave people's asses. And Bonfim is going to have his first taste of true chaos on Saturday, and we're going to see how he deals with it. And if he can get past Terrance McKinney, we've got a legitimate prospect here in the lightweight division for this kid, Ismael Bonfim. Can't wait for this fight. The next fight is going to be Luan Lacerda versus Cody Stamann. Got a wide line here, minus 405 for Cody Stamann, plus 305 for Luan Lacerda, and the fight doesn't go to decision. Is sitting at plus 170. Hang on just a second. All right, you guys. Sweet. All right, let me get to my notes here. And do I bring up that banner? Yes. Okay, good. Let me get a sip of my beverage here. We're working hard here, you guys. 15 fights to break down. And in order to find these winning tickets, in order to make these bookies cry, we got to put in the research. We got to get into all of them. We got to look at all the angles. So let's keep working. By the way, once again, Hop Butcher. This is one of the best brewers in the country. If you like these double dry hopped hazy IPAs, Yellow Moss by the good folks at Hop Butcher. Drink good beer, hang out with good people, live a good life. It starts right here with Hop Butcher. There we go. Luan Lacerda versus Cody Stamann. Let's start off talking about the newcomer, Luan Lacerda here. Let me get the stats up for you guys. Luan is a very slick submission grappler. He's got great size and length for the bantamweight division, and he's rounding out his game to try to improve his striking to take advantage of that length, but he's still got a long way to go before his striking is going to be considered serviceable at the UFC level. He's got 10 career wins by submission out of 12 pro wins. The other 2 are by decision, so this guy is as close to a sub or bust as you can get at this level. He will have a 9-inch reach advantage here. So if he does make improvements and finds a way to win some minutes on the feet with that reach advantage, this fight gets a lot more interesting. But there isn't much tape on Lacerda. But from what I've seen, once the fight gets to the ground with Luan in good position, it will be over shortly thereafter. Luan loves leg locks. He will use them to get submissions or to sweep and get to your back. If Luan can get this fight to the ground, he's going to have an advantage, as Cody Stamann is very hard to take down. But once he is taken down, I've seen good submission grapplers have a lot of success there against him, and it shouldn't be any different with Lacerda. There's a lot of missing information here about the level of Luan's wrestling. While we know that Cody's wrestling, both offensive and defensive, are excellent. If I can't say with great confidence that Luan can get this fight to the ground, I see Cody styling on him on the feet, even with that reach disadvantage. Cody Stamann is a well-tested, experienced, well-rounded UFC veteran with 11 UFC fights and over 130 minutes in the UFC cage. He's fought top names such as Brian Caraway, Aljamain Sterling, Jimmy Rivera, Song Yadong, Merab Dvalishvili, and Said Nurmagomedov. So I don't see Luan bringing anything that Cody hasn't seen before. Cody has shown solid boxing with a positive 0.9 significant strike differential, 63% striking defense, and he's never been knocked down in 11 UFC fights and 442 significant strikes absorbed. So he's very durable. Cody's been efficient in the grappling exchanges with 76% takedown defense on 54 attempts against, and he's out-controlling his UFC opponents at about a 2-to-1 ratio, even though his opponents have attempted just as many takedowns as Cody has. So I think that there's a high probability that Cody can use his wrestling in reverse to keep this fight on the feet. And that's where Cody is most comfortable. And I can see Cody using pressure to make up for the reach disadvantage here, which will also make it more difficult for Luan to wrestle if Cody walks forward and keeps him on his back foot. Cody's faced the far better strength of schedule here, and it really isn't even close. So Luan's going to be 3 years younger here. He's 1 inch taller, and he's got a 9-inch reach advantage. He's the far better submission grappler, and if he can get this fight to the ground by any means necessary, he will be in his world, and he will have the chance to make Cody very uncomfortable. And let's not forget that 2 of Cody's 4 UFC losses are by submission, so that should be Luan's best chance. He's the better Cody has the overall and the UFC experience advantages. He's the better boxer with more power on the feet. His forward pressure could make up for the reach disadvantage, while this fight is on the feet where I think Cody is better anyways. So, excuse me, guys. Cody's the better offensive and defensive wrestler. So I think he'll be able to dictate where this fight takes place. And Cody is smart, so I think he makes the right decisions with his choice of game plan. The strength of schedule is all Cody. So I see Cody winning by decision. However, I think the under 2.5 at plus 200 is an interesting play because this is a huge step up in competition for Lacerda. So I could see Cody getting a finish. And Lacerda is so dangerous on the ground, I think he could also finish early should Cody make a mistake and find himself in a compromising position. I won't be betting or parlaying Cody's money line, but I do think he cruises here should he be able to keep this fight where he's most comfortable. And Luan's by sub at better than plus 500 would be a very interesting prop bet for this fight, in my opinion. So, yeah, the pick is going to be Cody Stamann by decision in this one. And I think I got to go down here to do it. Yeah. So Cody Stamann by decision is the pick. And now the next fight that we're going to talk about is one of the top prospects in the UFC in Jailton Maladino Almeida, and he is facing off against one of the most handsome men in the UFC, Shamil Abdurakhimov. So this is a good one, man. I'm looking forward to seeing Jailton back in the cage because he is an extremely talented submission grappler and wrestler, and I absolutely love watching this guy in the cage. He is just so dominant. But, you know, betting-wise, there's really not much to talk about here, you guys. Minus 900 for Jailton Almeida, plus 600 for the very handsome Shamil Abdurakhimov. The fight doesn't go to decision. Minus 1,000, a 91% implied probability that this fight finishes inside the distance. So the bookies are all over the fact that Almeida's going to win this fight, and they're all over the fact that he's going to finish it inside the distance. So there's not much money to be made here. Let's just talk about the stylistic matchup real quick, should this fight actually happen. But if I had a pretty face like Shamil Abdurakhimov, I wouldn't be getting in the cage with Jailton Almeida. Shit, he's already gotten in the cage with Sergey Pavlovich, Chris Daukaus, and Curtis Blades, who have all shaved his ass over the last year and a half. So this is probably going to be pretty much the same. But Shamil's a solid, low-volume kickboxer. He's got deceiving speed and power for his size. I don't think he will get the opportunity to use his boxing in this fight, though. Almost 92% of Jailton Almeida's UFC cage time has been spent in control time positions for or against, and Jailton's winning 87% of those positions. Shamil's 47% takedown defense at the UFC level, and in his 5 UFC losses, he's been finished on the ground 3 times. Derek Lewis, Curtis Blades, and Tim Johnson. This has all the makings of an ass shaving here, you guys. And then, Jailton Almeida, I kind of just said all I needed to say about Jailton in the above paragraph. But let me just run it down one more time. 79.5% control time for, almost 12% control time against. So he's spending more than 9 of 10 seconds on the average in his 4 UFC fights in grappling positions, where he's going to be the far better, far stronger, far more dangerous submission grappler. So Jailton's going to shoot a takedown probably in the first 10 seconds, get it, work to a dominant position, and finish this fight. So I think that we're going to call this a Jailton Almeida first-round knockout. And it should surprise absolutely none of you that I'm picking this. Look, if this were a line on who's the more handsome man, we'd have a lot more passionate discussion about how this is going to be a lot closer to evens than it is right now. But this is a fight, ladies and gentlemen, and Jailton Almeida is a serious problem. So yeah, Almeida first round ground and pound knockout. Next fight, very good fight. We've got Gabriel Bonfim against Mounir Lazzez. This is a fun one, you guys. Gabriel Bonfim, the -173 favorite. Mounir Lazzez +148 as the underdog. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at -175. So let's start talking about Gabriel Bonfim here, the other Bonfim brother. This is the second of the 2 brothers, and he might be the brother with the highest ceiling, in my opinion. Gabriel, like Ismael, has excellent, crisp, technically sound boxing, and he's also a very opportunistic submission grappler. All 13 of his pro wins are inside the distance, and 10 of them are by submission. Everything I saw on tape from Gabriel was eye-popping. He really looks the part. He's only 25 years old. He's got a stiff test, though, against a well-rounded veteran in Lazzez, and is definitely a step up in competition, so it's going to be very interesting to see how he handles it. Now, his opponent, Mounir Lazzez, is a well-rounded, experienced veteran who has faced and beaten the much better brand of competition. I see this fight taking place mostly on the feet, and Mounir has fantastic Muay Thai. He stays behind a snappy jab. He has deadly step-in knees and head kicks, and he pushes a pace. He mixes up his weapons. He throws with a rare combination of power and volume. Mounir has also landed 4 takedowns in 3 UFC fights, and he's out-controlling his opponents at a 2-to-1 ratio, despite the fact that his opponents have attempted 7 takedowns and Mounir has attempted 6. So Mounir has definitely faced a much better level of competition, and I say that he should be solid wherever this fight goes. So Gabriel Bonfim is 10 years younger. He has as many pro fights as Mounir, and he's finished all 13 of his professional wins. He's got great boxing. He's the more opportunistic and active submission grappler. But Mounir's got a 4-inch reach advantage here. He's got the UFC experience advantage. He uses his length better due to using kicks more as a way to help keep distance, and his wrestling and grappling efficiency have held up thus far at the UFC level. Mounir has also faced and beaten a much higher level of competition. I'm picking Mounir Lazzez to win this fight by decision. Like I said, it's a big step up in competition, but this is one of those situations where I see this as a boxer versus kickboxer matchup. And Bonfim, 90% of the weapons that he's thrown are with his hands. But Mounir mixes up his weapons a lot better. And because he uses kicks so much more, I think that he's going to have an easier time maintaining distance here. And if this winds up being a distance striking battle, I think Mounir Lazzez is 50-50 with a boxer the quality of Gabriel Bonfim, which makes this a very good line, because when you watch the tape on Bonfim, yes, he's a very opportunistic submission grappler, but in a way he reminds me of Joel Alvarez, where Alvarez is very long. He throws a lot of strikes. He drowns you in volume. He gets you backing up, and then he gets you to engage in the grappling where then he submits you. But if you're counting on Joel Alvarez to go out there and initiate grappling exchanges, you're going to be very disappointed, because he doesn't do that. And from what I've seen from Bonfim on tape, he doesn't wrestle much. He only attempted one takedown in his contender series fight against Trey Waters. He got it, and he got 6% control time, so he was able to, get a little bit of control time off of that takedown. But, I honestly believe that Mounir Lazzez is probably the better wrestler here. I mean, we've seen him go to it a lot more in his regional scene competition in comparison to Bonfim. And, Lazzez has only lost to Warlley Alves and Eldar Eldarov in his career. And Eldar Eldarov is like 13-1. And his only loss came to Habib Nurmagomedov. Lazzez is a bargain at this price. There's no evidence to suggest that Bonfim, while he is an excellent submission grappler, there's no evidence to suggest that he's this great wrestler that uses that submission grappling to get fights to the ground and then get those submissions. He gets those submissions most of the time because he's dominating on the feet, and then his opponents make a mistake, and then he uses that opportunistic submission game in order to finish the fights once his opponents get sloppy and shoot in on a lousy takedown. But I don't think Mounir is going to do that. I think Mounir is going to be very, very involved here at distance, and I love the volume. I love the power. I love the mix-up of weapons, and I love the fact that Mounir uses his legs in order to maintain that distance, and I think that that's going to be difficult for Gabriel to deal with. So the pick in this fight is going to be Mounir Lazzez to win by decision, and one of my track bets this week is Mounir Lazzez's money line at plus 160 for 1 unit, I bet. The next fight is going to be Bruno Ferreira making his debut, the Hulk, going up against Gregory Robocop Rodriguez. Robocop a minus 320 favorite. Bruno Ferreira plus 270. Fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 500. Wow. Man, that is a lot. I mean, that is a big time fight doesn't go to decision line. All right. So let's see. The banner here we've got. Yeah, okay, so good. Let's get the stats up on the screen. And we have got Melquizael Costa making his UFC debut against Thiago Moises. Melk has taken this fight on short notice, and he is replacing, it's not important really, but Melk is taking this fight on short notice. Not much tape out there on Melk. But I'll tell you what I do know about these guys. Thiago Moises is a very well-rounded, experienced fighter who at the age of 27 has faced a murderer's row of UFC lightweight opponents in his 10 UFC fights and 108 minutes in the UFC cage. Thiago is a high-level Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. He's finished 7 of his 16 pro wins by submission. He's also got serviceable UFC-level striking, and because he isn't the most active offensive wrestler, long stretches of his fights have taken place at striking range, and he has the ability to win minutes and moments there. I really don't see anywhere besides the height and reach where Costa has the advantage here, and he's taking the fight on short notice, so I could definitely see Moises getting a dominant win. Now, Melquizael Costa, when I watched the 2 available fights Costa has on the tape index, I saw a well-rounded fighter who's great nowhere, but also doesn't seem to have terrible weak areas either. He's experienced. He's got 24 professional fights, just under 180 minutes in the pro cage. He's a solid equal opportunity finisher with 13 finish wins out of 19, 7 by knockout, 6 by submission. He's been finished in 2 of 5 pro losses, once by knockout, once by submission. I mean, I see Thiago being better everywhere, except for the fact that Costa has some size and length advantages, being 1 inch taller, having a 3-inch reach advantage. But Moises is the better striker. He's the more dangerous submission grappler. He's got better conditioning, and he's faced and beaten the much better level of competition. I think Moises by sub could be a sneaky prop to attack here, and I think Moises does win this fight by second-round submission. But when we look at Melquizael Costa's record, you know, we can – let me just bring up – all right, never mind. Let me go back to Tapology over here. Let's take a look at Melquizael Costa's record here. Because the most recent loss against Italo Gomez is not confidence-inspiring here. He did lose that fight. It was very close. It was a unanimous decision, but he did struggle a little bit with Gomez's length and grappling. And then he's got a first-round knockout over a 12-11 fighter named Tom Santos. And then he got that overhand left-to-ground strikes in LFA 147 in the main event as he beat Junior Mello, who's 12-5. He's got a rear naked choke over Angel Rodriguez, who's 10-5. Leandro Santos, 8-2. Got a decision win. Anderson Ferreira, first-round knockout in SFT 21, 14-2. 13-4 Jose Santana, 1-1 Marcelo Costa. Then he lost 3 out of 4 fights in 2017 and 2018 to Antonio Montero, Rafael Barbosa, and Marcos Vinicius in Thunder Fight, Demolador Fight, and then Mr. Cage. So it seems like he picked it up after that. But there's really no spectacular wins on here. The Junior Mello win, probably the best win that he's had. But even Mello, who's 12-6 now, got a win over Asenza, Tommy Aaron, Mello, Vasconcelos. Yeah, and there's really nothing impressive here. Like I said, Melquizael Costa is pretty well-rounded. He's decent everywhere. But, I mean, like, Thiago Moises has been in there with guys that would absolutely body bag Costa. Costa's taking it on short notice, and I don't see anything from him that leads me to believe he's going to win this fight. So I think it should be a pretty safe victory here for Thiago Moises, and we're picking him to get this job done by second-round submission. All right. Next fight is going to be Gregory RoboCop, or no, I'm sorry. It's going, did we talk about that one already? Shit, did I not write that fight up? Oh, no, we've got that banner up right now. Okay. So Gregory Rodriguez is minus 320. Okay, I must not have put up a banner for this fight, but no big deal. So we're going to move on now to Gregory Rodriguez versus Ferreira. And yeah, Rodriguez here is a big favorite. He is minus 320 and Ferreira is plus 270. So Gregory Rodriguez is not taking this fight on short notice, and his opponent is. This is the battle of Brazilian muscle here, ladies and gentlemen. And Gregory Rodriguez has really shown out thus far in the UFC with a 4-1 record. His only loss being a split decision loss to Armen Petrosyan in a very close fight that I thought he won. Greg has power on the feet, fantastic Brazilian jiu-jitsu, plenty of durability and heart, and he's way more experienced and well-tested. This is a short notice fight for Ferreira, so RoboCop has really got that going for him as well. Gregory has shown competency in the distance striking exchanges as he fared quite well against high-level kickboxers like Chidi Njokuani, Jung-Yong Park, and Armen Petrosyan. In addition to that, Greg is 50% on his 16 UFC takedown attempts, and he outcontrols his opponents at better than a 2-to-1 ratio while displaying 100% takedown defense on 4 attempts against. So Greg really is solid everywhere, and he went to decision 4 times as a pro, 2-2, while Ferreira has never been past the 1.5 round mark in his pro career. So it's safe to say his conditioning will be better here as well. this looks like a solid spot for RoboCop. But Ferreira is making his UFC debut on short notice after winning a contract on Dana White Contender Series. He's a bricked-up finisher, 6 career wins by knockout, 3 by sub in his 9 pro wins. The kid looks impressive on tape. He does his best work on the ground as he has solid wrestling, top control, and excellent ground and pound. If he can get RoboCop to the ground and establish a dominant position, he will be a problem there. But Bruno has shown power on the feet, but it's plain to see on tape that he's going to be at a technical striking and speed disadvantage here. It's going to be a tough road to hoe for Bruno, taking this fight on short notice against a well-rounded, experienced, explosive opponent in RoboCop. But so Ferreira's got his work cut out for him here. But everything I've seen on tape from this kid tells me he deserves to be here. He's just lacking high-level experience, which he will earn the hard way on Saturday. Gregory's taller, longer, more experienced. He's the better distance striker. He's the better wrestler, and he's the better submission grappler who has faced a much better level of competition. RoboCop inside the distance might be worth a look, seeing as Bruno has taken this fight on about 9 days' notice. He's taken a huge step in competition, and he's never been past that 1.5 round mark in his career. So RoboCop by first round knockout is definitely the pick here. But go watch the tape on Ferreira. He's big, he's wide, he's built like a slab of marble, and he's got some power on the feet. And when he gets those takedowns and gets that big bricked up body on top of dudes, he starts raining down ground and pound, and either he knocks them out with that ground and pound or they give up their back so that he can get that rear naked choke. So it's going to be interesting to see what this kid Ferreira has. But you want to talk about a tall order on short notice. And for a guy who does his best work on top, he's facing a guy in Rodriguez who's, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion at the purple belt level, and a guy who's shown 100% takedown defense in 6 UFC fights. So definitely like RoboCop to get the job done here, and I'm going to call it a first round knockout. Go back to the picks. Oh, God. Oh, did it not save my fucking picks? Oh, come on. This is the problem with this. All right. Yeah. So RoboCop by first round knockout. All right. And then we've got the 1-800 gambler fight of not just this card, but maybe of the entire year. Mauricio Shogun Rua, plus 175, going up against Ihor Potieria at minus 205. The fight doesn't go to decision at minus 260. Look at Roman Dolidze looking at Liana Jojua there. And then let's have one more look at the soccer skills of our guy, Mauricio Shogun Rua here. Get it. No. Oh, God. That's rough. All right. Either way, you guys, it's gonna be a fun fight. But my suggestion to all of you guys would be stay away from this fight. But let me give you the notes that I actually wrote on this fight. Mauricio Shogun Rua, I'm not sure what to say. He's a legend. He's fought the who's who of the light heavyweight division. Ihor Potieria doesn't have 10% of the MMA acumen, experience, and knowledge that Shogun has. But Shogun's 41 years old. He's got 41 pro fights, and he spent over 350 minutes in the pro cage or ring, fighting killers at literally the last 20 years of his life. Ihor Potieria, who sucks at MMA and is nowhere even close to UFC level, is a minus 205 favorite. 6,000 miles from home against a legend and multi-organization champion in Shogun Rua. Where is Shogun at this point in his career? Is he done? Is there anything left in the tank? If there is, he probably easily covers his price tag. And if not, you look like a clown for betting on a washed-up fighter. And with Ihor Potieria, this guy is nowhere near Rua's level, but he's 15 years younger. And this win would make his career, while Shogun knows that this is pretty much it for him. No chance in hell I lay juice on a guy like Potieria, who frankly gets body bagged by everyone in this division not named Harry Hunsucker. Don't bet this fight. If you do, take the plus money side on the guy who's fighting at home and retiring after this fight. But the thought of laying minus 205 on a fighter the skill set of Ihor Potieria makes me want to puke. and then betting on Mauricio Shogun Hua at 41 years of age, even though he's at home, even though he's the better fighter, even though he's more well-rounded and more durable, and you just don't know where this kid is. I mean, he's not a kid. You don't know where this man is. He's a man. He's 40. Yeah, I'm staying away from this one. I guess I'll make a pick, but why? I don't know why I'm making a pick. Oh, good. This did save. All right, good. I just went to the different page. So Rodriguez by first round knockout. And then I'm going to pick Mauricio Shogun Hua to win by decision, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not betting that fight. I don't take that pick seriously. I don't think you should bet it either. No time prop leans, no nothing on this one. I'm just picking Shogun Hua. I hope he gets the retirement fight that he deserves and gets to leave the UFC on a winning note against the bum in Ihor Peterier. But yeah, Mauricio Shogun Hua by decision. Why not, right? Next fight is going to be Paul the Bear Jew Craig at plus 165 going up against Johnny Walker minus 190. Fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 600 for this fight. Let's get the stats up on the screen here. So we had Rodriguez Ferreira there. No, we got Ihor Peterier. I didn't even put those stats up on the screen, but you don't need them. Okay. So Paul Craig is a sub or bust grappler with a very aggressive guard and deadly triangle arm bars. 20 of his 22 pro fights have ended inside the distance. I like Paul Craig's game because he knows who he is as a fighter. His striking is okay, definitely not even average by UFC standards, but he uses it to set up his entries mostly and to give his opponent something to think about on the feet. Paul doesn't have good takedown percentage in the UFC. He's gotten 14 of 67 takedown attempts, which is only about 21%. But he finds other ways to initiate the grappling exchanges, mostly by pulling guard or trying to take his opponent's back standing. Paul will be outgunned by a lot here on the feet because he's at a 3-inch height and a 6-inch reach disadvantage. Plus, Walker has got 4 UFC wins by knockout, and he's landing a knockdown on 1.31% of the significant strikes that he's landing. And Craig has been knocked out in 3 of his 5 UFC losses. I think Paul will find a way to get this fight to the grappling exchanges because he has more than one way to do so, and because 69% of Craig's UFC cage time has been spent in control time positions. And for Johnny Walker, it's over 30%. So I do see Paul Craig by sub being the prop to chase on the Craig side for sure. I've bet it already at plus 375. Johnny Walker is an unorthodox, explosive, and powerful striker who's 6 feet 6 inches tall with an 82-inch reach. He's got a 95% career finish rate in 19 pro wins, with 16 of those 18 finishes coming in the first round. Johnny needs to keep this fight at striking distance at all costs. If he voluntarily engages in the grappling with Paul Craig, he's going to have a bad time. Johnny needs to use his footwork and distance management to keep this fight at striking distance so he can cruise to an easy victory here. However, Walker has shown only 59% takedown defense in the UFC. He's stopped 10 of 17 takedown attempts against, and he's been controlled for over 22% of his 70 minutes in the UFC cage, which is an encouraging stat for the Craig bettors. Johnny finds himself in clinch and ground control situations all the time due to his unorthodox strikes and how explosively he tries to finish his opponents on the feet. And if he's smart, he's going to try to avoid that kind of game plan at all costs on Saturday. Paul Craig has the UFC experience advantage with 4 more fights and almost 45 more minutes in the UFC cage. He will be the superior submission grappler here, and thus far, Craig's wins at the UFC level rate better than Johnny Walker's do. Johnny will be 5 years younger, 3 inches taller, and will have a 6-inch reach advantage. Both of these guys are savage finishers, but it will be Walker who is way more likely to finish this fight on the feet with his strikes. Walker has the striking and power advantages here as well. I like this fight to end in the very first round. And even though I have a bet on Paul Craig to win by submission, I'm picking Johnny Walker to win this fight by a first-round knockout. Let's look at the prop template here, you guys, which is available for $20 a month on my Patreon. But if we go to the Paul Craig Walker fight here, we're going to see the fight doesn't start round 2 on DraftKings sitting at minus 105. So minus 105 is a 51.22% implied probability. That's overpriced by about 12.31% compared to the metric because fights don't start round 2 at this weight class about 39% of the time, and we're paying 51. But Johnny Walker and Paul Craig fights have finished in the first round over 58% of the time. So we're getting a 7.1% break based on that metric. And these guys are finishing their fights in the first round at a 19.43% clip higher than what the division does as a whole. So when you look at this minus 105, it's the least juice that we're going to pay. It's also the least overpriced prop. And it's also, when we compare how these fighters do to the division, they're really performing at the fight doesn't start round 2 at a much higher rate than any of these other props. So this one really does seem to be the one to go for. Fight doesn't start round 2 at minus 105. I could see a Craig first round submission. I could see a Johnny Walker first round knockout. And I think it's a lot more likely than 50% that happens. So yeah, I'm going to be looking at that fight doesn't start round 2 as a potential parlay piece for the greasy 4-legger this week. And I'm also thinking about betting 1.05 units on that to win 1. But the pick is going to be Johnny Walker to win by first round knockout. All right. Johnny Walker, first round knockout. But like I said, you guys, I do have a bet, and it's a 1-unit bet. I'm swinging for the fences on Paul Craig to win by submission. I believe it's about 90% of his win condition here because the guy's not a minute winner. He's not going to win minutes on the feet here. He's not a great wrestler, so it's not like he's going to take Walker down and win minutes from top control and ground and pound. And because he flops around so much on his back and tries to pull guard and stuff, the optics of that are never good, so it never really lends itself to Craig winning by decision. He's got 2 knockout wins at the UFC level, but one of them was because he dislocated Jamal Hill's elbow and Jamal didn't tap, so that was wound up being called a technical knockout. And then the other one that he got was much earlier in his career, and I forgot how that one happened. But yeah, I'm going to pick Johnny Walker to win by first round knockout, but I do have a 1-unit bet at plus 375 on Bet Online. Every other site had it about plus 275 for Paul Craig to win by submission. The next fight that we're going to talk about is Lucky Lauren Murphy going up against the very handsome Jessica Andrade. We've got Jessica's a big favorite here, minus 460, and Lauren Murphy is plus 360. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 115 for this fight. All right, let's see here. Okay. All right. Okay, you guys, thank you for being patient with me. I've always got to check some things out here between fights. But yeah, if we talk about Lucky Lauren Murphy first in this one, she's an experienced, durable, and well-rounded mixed martial artist. 9 of her 13 UFC fights have went to decision, and she's 5-4 in those decisions. Lauren is in a lot of close fights because she can find several ways to win minutes. Her clinch game is solid because she's very strong for the division. She has above average distance striking defense at 58.5%, and she's been efficient in control time positions, getting 21.3% control time for, while allowing 14.5% against. If Lauren can keep this fight at distance while dealing with Jessica's forward pressure and win some minutes there with her length and distance management, and when the pressure gets to her, she needs to either clinch up with Jess or duck under and try to get takedowns and accrue some top control while landing some ground and pound. That is Lauren's path to a decision win, and it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility here. Jessica Andrade has the most UFC fights out of any woman in the history of the promotion. She's fought at 135, 125, and 115, and she's been the champion at strawweight. Jessica is small for 125, but she's always pressuring, walking forward. She has great body shots and high amplitude takedowns and slams. She's a finisher, which is rare in this division. She's finished 8 of her 14 UFC wins, and her last 5 UFC wins are all by finish. Jessica has a positive 1 significant strike differential. She outvolumes her opponents. She averages 2.3 takedowns per 15 minutes and outcontrols her opponents 28% to 10% over her UFC career. She's fought and beaten the much better brand of competition in her UFC career, and in particular, her UFC wins are much higher level than Lauren's. She pretty much has all the finishing equity in this spot, so it's hard to pick against Jessica Andrade here. You look at this, you guys. The ratio in Jessica Andrade's wins is 1.5. The ratio in Lauren Murphy's wins is 0.86. So on the aggregate, Lauren Murphy is beating women who have losing records combined at the UFC level, while Jessica Andrade's wins have a 1.5 to 1 win-loss ratio in their records. Lauren Murphy's opponents that she's beaten have a less than 1 win-to-loss record. So negative, a below 500 career record for the ladies that Lauren Murphy's beating. So Lauren doesn't have many advantages on paper here other than the size, where she is 4 inches taller and has a 5-inch reach advantage. But she is a well-rounded, durable veteran who can find ways to win minutes with her distance striking, takedowns, and clinch control. But it's Jessica who's going to be the far more dangerous fighter everywhere. She's the way better moment winner. Jessica's combination of pressure, volume, and power is very difficult to deal with, and it's going to take a masterclass performance from Murphy to find ways to win minutes consistently by mixing the martial arts and taking advantage of her size and strength advantages here. But I'm picking Jessica to win this fight by decision. I think Murphy is cautious and durable, so I do think that this fight sees the scorecards. Laura Murphy has only been finished once in her career in 5 losses. It was by Valentina Shevchenko, and it came in the 4th round of that fight. So it's not like anybody's really finishing Lauren Murphy, in the first 3 rounds, and this is a 3-round fight. So I think a sneaky play here is the over 2.5 rounds in this fight, because we can count on Lauren Murphy's durability. But it's not exactly the best price at -120 right now. So I'm gonna see where it goes, but that's something I'm taking a look at here. But I'm definitely picking Jessica Andrade to win this fight by decision. The only fight that I didn't get to tape, Gilbert Burns versus Neil Magny here. This is a great high-level fight. We've got Gilbert Burns, 36 years old. Neil Magny is 35. Let me get this banner up here. There we go. Gilbert Burns is -465. Neil Magny +365. Fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at -140. So Magny's got a big experience advantage here. 10 more pro fights, almost 200 more minutes in the pro cage. And he's also got 9 more UFC level fights and about 150 more minutes in the UFC cage. It's Gilbert Burns who's the much better finisher as a pro and at the UFC level. And he's also been more durable. He's been finished in 2 of 5 losses, but Magny has been finished in 75% of his 8 UFC losses. And as a pro, he's been finished at a 78% clip overall. So while this is on the feet, Neil Magny's got a nice jab. He throws a ton of volume, and he can be difficult to deal with there and can be a good minute winner on the feet. But Gilbert Burns also lands more significant strikes than he absorbs. He throws just a little bit more than his opponents do. Striking defense is right there on par with Magny's. The accuracy is a little bit better, but the difference is the power. Gilbert Burns has definitely got more power on the feet. So while Magny could be the minute winner if he does find the range of that jab and he throws a lot of volume and he moves his feet well, I could see Magny winning some minutes on the feet here. But I could also see Burns with his pressure really giving Magny problems. And when we look at Neil Magny's losses at the UFC level, there's 8 of them, and half of them have come by submission. And we do know that Gilbert Burns is a world champion Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. So, we've seen Rafael Dos Anjos submit Neil Magny. We've seen a couple of other guys submit Neil Magny, so it wouldn't be the first time that this has happened at the UFC level. And Gilbert certainly has got a fantastic submission game. Both of these guys do well in the grappling exchanges, but you see that Magny is spending a lot of time in control time positions. About 54% of his UFC career of 358 minutes has been spent in control time positions for or against. And you just see Burns being much more efficient there. 25% control time for, 12% control time allowed. While Magny has 58 takedowns and his opponents only have 39, yet he's getting out-controlled by 9% there. So I could see Burns definitely being he will be the more dangerous submission grappler, but I think he's also the better wrestler and more likely guy to win minutes on the ground. So it's a tough spot, for Neil Magny here. And then when we look at the strength of the schedule, the ratio much better overall, the ratio better in the wins for Burns, and he's also lost to the better brand of competition. Losing to good grapplers like Shavkat, like Michael Chiesa, Santiago Ponzinibbio is a striker. Dos Anjos styled on him on the ground. Damian Maia styled on him on the ground, but there's no shame in that. And he also got subbed by Sergio Moraes. So you see a lot of Brazilians, Sergio Moraes, Damian Maia, Rafael Dos Anjos have subbed this guy already, So will... And then one Kazakhstani guy subbed him in Shavkat Rakhmonov. But will he be the fourth Brazilian to sub Neil Magny on Saturday? I think so. I think I'm going to pick Gilbert Burns to win this fight by second round submission. I think it's a great matchup. I'm really looking forward to see how Burns does here. And I'm pissed off I didn't get to tape this fight in time to do the show because I really wanted to rewatch those Usman and Chimaev fights from Gilbert Burns. And, the fact that he had Usman on skates and in trouble and that he could have even won that Chimaev fight leads me to believe that this should be easy for Gilbert Burns. I think he gets the job done here just by being the more, Magny could win minutes here, but, I think it's just a matter of time before Burns catches him in a submission or with a big shot and finishes this fight. So Gilbert Burns inside the distance, we'll call it second round submission here. The next fight is the first of the two title fights that we're going to see here, the quadrilogy between Davison Deuce de Guerra Figueiredo going up against the Assassin Baby and Brandon Moreno. Figueiredo, the underdog at plus 100. Brandon Moreno, minus 120 in the favorite. The fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at plus 100. Let's get these stats up here on the screen. And wow, this is so much fun to talk about. The God of War, Davison Figueiredo, is a problem at 125 pounds. He's a crazy power for the division. He pressures nonstop. He's got a slick submission game, and he has the ability to get back up when he's taken down. He's 35 years old now, and he's a huge flyweight who has a brutal weight cut to make championship weight. The weigh-ins are everything for this fight, you guys. We have seen these two guys go to war for more than 12 rounds and over 16 minutes in the UFC cage. And the only fight that looked different than the rest was the second fight where Figgy had a brutal weight cut, went to the hospital the night before the fight, and really had nothing for Brandon in that fight. The first and third fights were absolute back and forth wars between two well-matched fighters with great heart and great durability. Davison's power is the difference maker. He's landed 11 knockdowns in 13 UFC fights, and he has finished 7 of his 10 wins inside the distance. Between the power and the forward pressure, Davison always finds a way to break less durable fighters. But we know Moreno has legendary durability, which is why the first and third fights in this trilogy were such classics. I think Figgy remains the moment winner, while Moreno will be the minute winner with his boxing. Brandon Moreno, though, is 6 years younger than Davison. He's 2 inches taller, and he's got a 2-inch reach advantage. He's got excellent boxing, and he can always rely on his iron chin, even against guys with fight-changing power like Figueiredo. Brandon's career arc is in a different place right now in comparison to Figgy. He has the easier weight cut. He's 6 years younger, and his durability will always remain unquestioned, and he has held his own in the wrestling and grappling exchanges with Figgy. I'll be betting Brandon's money line if it looks like Figgy has another horrible weight cut. Figgy will be the more powerful fighter. 11 knockdowns in 13 fights can win him rounds, and that he was losing on volume up until that point. So we saw that the last fight. We saw Deiveson Figueiredo land 3 knockdowns, but get out-volumed in most of those rounds. So it was the ability for Deiveson to win minutes that made up for the fact that he was losing, he was winning moments that it was making up for the fact that he was losing those minutes up until he landed those big shots in 3 of the 5 rounds. I also think Figueiredo's forward pressure is very important because in the second fight when Figgy didn't pressure, we saw Brandon win the distance in striking exchanges with his speed and with his jab. I think the striking will come down to Brandon's minute winning versus Figgy's power, pressure, and moment winning in the grappling exchanges. Should be close since both guys have such great get-up games. I see another 5-round war if Figgy makes weight and looks good doing it. But if he doesn't, I'll be picking Brandon Moreno to win inside the distance. As of right now, I don't know. I really don't even have a pick for this fight. I'm not picking this fight until I see how Deiveson Figueiredo looks on the scale. So let's just assume, for the purposes of the show, that I think that Deiveson is going to have a really bad weight cut. And if that's the case, I see a 4th-round submission from Brandon Moreno. The guy's got an indomitable will, and if Deiveson breaks as a result of having another bad weight cut, I think Brandon's going to take advantage of that. But if Deiveson Figueiredo, looks good on the scale, is one of the first people to weigh in, makes championship weight, and looks ready to go, I think I might change my pick back to Figueiredo, but I need to make sure that this dude is ready to go because he's not finishing Brandon Moreno. Nobody's finishing Brandon Moreno. With the big shots that Deiveson Figueiredo has landed in these 3 fights, it's Brandon Moreno's chin and durability are beyond question. So I think the best bet, if Deiveson Figueiredo weighs in and looks ready to go, would be a fight starts round 5 or an over 4.5 or a fight goes to decision. You'll be paying a little bit of juice there, but I think you can really count on the durability of Brandon Moreno. And if Deiveson Figueiredo is ready to go, I don't think he's getting finished by Moreno because I don't think Moreno's a good enough finisher to finish a 100% Deiveson Figueiredo. So, yeah, the pick is going to be Moreno by 4th-round submission, but that is assuming that Deiveson Figueiredo has a bad weight cut. If it looks like Deiveson has a good weight cut on Friday, I might change my pick there. But that brings us to the main event of the evening, Glover Teixeira versus Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. What a fight. What an incredible 205-pound title matchup between 2 studs. I can't wait for this fight. I think that this fight reminds me a lot of Teixeira versus Prochaska because I think Hill has a lot of similarities to Prochaska. Hill's got bad takedown defense, but a great get-up game, just like Prochaska does. Hill's great on the feet. He switches stances. He's got a ton of power. He uses his length well, and he varies up his weapons. He's extremely durable. He never quits, and he can come back after losing minutes to finish fights. And those are all qualities that Jiri Prochaska has shown over his career as well. So when I went back and I watched Jamal Hill versus Thiago Santos, when I watched Glover Teixeira versus Jiri Prochaska, I really do see this being as tough a fight to call as there is. And it's because I see it taking place so much like Teixeira Prochaska. I mean, that fight was so good. There were so many rounds where one of the fighters won 3.5 minutes of the round, and then the other fighter won 1.5 minutes. And the 1.5 minutes that they won was about as much damage done as there was in the 3.5 by the other fighter. There were probably 8 momentum swings in that fight. And I don't see any reason to believe that it's going to be any different this time. I think that the stylistic matchup for Teixeira Prochaska is almost identical to this one. I think that while the fight is on the feet, Glover Teixeira and Jamal Hill will have success there. I think that Teixeira is going to go to the wrestling, and I think he's going to get Hill down. But will he be able to keep him there? Is the big question. We saw Thiago Santos get Jamal Hill down 6 times, but did almost nothing with all of those takedowns because Jamal refuses to accept that position, and he works so hard to get back up. But if Jamal shows his back to Glover Teixeira, it could be a much different situation here, because the difference between the previous guys to take down Jamal Hill, those guys were Thiago Santos and Darko Stosic. The level of Glover Teixeira's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, his MMA Jiu-Jitsu, is not even comparable with Thiago Santos and Darko Stosic. He's at a much, much higher level. So I believe that if Glover Teixeira does get takedowns in this fight, that he's going to be able to do a lot more with him than what Thiago Santos did. And we see here, Glover Teixeira has gotten 34 takedowns on 90 attempts in 22 UFC fights. So he's definitely been a very active wrestler. He's averaging 2.12 takedowns per 15 minutes. And he's got 33.75% control time while allowing only 14% control time. So it's about 5 seconds of control time for about every 2 that he gives up. So it's a really nice ratio. He's winning over 70% of these control time positions. And we see that Jamal Hill is just not a wrestler. You know, I mean, he's never even attempted a takedown at the UFC level. So Jamal is definitely the more one-dimensional fighter here. He's kind of striking or bust. Glover lands big shots on the feet just like Jamal Hill does, but he's going to be much more dangerous on the ground. So why am I not just leaning on Glover then? Well, Glover makes mistakes on the ground. And the times that I've seen Jamal Hill get on top of dudes, he's good there. He's got very good ground and pound. And I could see even Jamal maybe getting a reverse or just in a scramble getting on top of Glover and doing a lot of damage while he's on top. But Jamal Hill is 12 years younger here. He's got a 3-inch reach advantage. He's got a 2-inch height advantage. And he's got an indomitable will. He's not going to quit. So, and I see that same quality in Glover Teixeira as well. So, I mean, this is about as well-matched of a fight. Does Glover get this fight to the ground regularly? If he does, I think he probably wins this fight. You know, because I could see him getting a stop. I could see Glover Teixeira's ground game being so much better than what Jamal Hill has seen on the ground up to this point in his career that, you know, we could see Glover get one takedown and potentially finish the fight. But Jamal's also very live to finish this fight as well. He's got a ton of power on the feet. He switches stances constantly, great body kicks, great volume, great durability, and great heart. So those are all very important things to have in this fight. So we got Teixeira's the underdog, plus 114. Jamal Hill, minus 134 is the favorite. Fight doesn't go, sitting up at minus 550. So I've been going back and forth on this fight. I think that Jamal Hill will be able to survive the bad spots, and if he does, I think he can potentially get a late finish in this fight. But I've went back and forth so many times, I don't think you guys should tail my pick here because I can easily see either one of these guys getting the win. I think the line is just about exactly where it should be, and it's leading me to believe that I need to just stay away from this fight and enjoy it for what it is, which is an extremely high level, you know, light heavyweight championship fight between two amazing athletes who are at two different points in their career right now. So I'm fired up for this one. What's the pick going to be, though? And new. Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill by 4th round knockout. Can't wait for this fight. I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm rooting for both of these guys. They're both a credit to the sport. They're both a credit to martial arts as a whole. and I can't wait to see how this UFC 283 card finishes with this amazing fight. You guys, we did it. We broke down all 15 fights on this card. 70 of you guys still rocking with me here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Join that Patreon if you haven't done it yet, which is where I always give out my tracked bets. I've got a couple this week, 7 units down so far. There will be more bets to come. So those of you that are already on the Patreon, you'll know when I pull the trigger on anything else this week. And we will be looking at a greasy 4-leg parlay probably coming out tomorrow on this channel here, as I've got a lot more plays that I like this week in comparison to last. But the track bets so far took advantage of a mistake line on FanDuel where they had an under 2 rounds for Rodriguez Ferreira at -112, which is essentially a fight doesn't start round 3. Got it at -112. And Ferreira, the opponent, has never been over 1.5 rounds in his entire career. And Gregory Robocop Rodriguez is an excellent finisher. So that's a 5-unit max bet at -112 on FanDuel Sportsbook. I've got 1 unit on the Mounir Lazzez money line at +160. Love the number there. And I think that this is going to be a striking match. And I think Mounir is not going to be out of his depth against an excellent boxer like Bonfim. And I love the fact that Mounir is more of a kickboxer, while Gabriel Bonfim is more of a traditional boxer. I think that will allow Mounir to be able to throw more volume and to maintain distance better. And I like his chances to be able to come out with a decision victory here at +160. I think it's a great line. And then I'm swinging for the fences with a full 1 unit Paul Craig by submission line at +375. When you watch Johnny Walker's UFC tape, he winds up in the clinch and on the ground a lot. He doesn't see Paul Craig actually completing takedowns in this fight and then working to advantageous positions once he gets the fight to the ground. But even if he can't do that, I think that he could potentially pull guard, go for leg locks. There's a lot of area on Johnny Walker to hold onto him somewhere and to work for submissions. And Paul, I think, is going to have an easier time getting into advantageous positions against somebody as sloppy and unorthodox as Walker than he did against somebody who was a lot more cautious and defensive as Volkan Ozdemir in the last fight. And let's not forget, Paul Craig by submission in the Ozdemir fight was +175. And then they forgot that he got submissions in all the fights before that, and they bumped it back up to +375. So that's how I took advantage of that line. I'm going to be looking out for a fight doesn't start round 2 for Paul Craig versus Johnny Walker at -105. I'm also looking at the over 2.5 in the Murphy Andrade fight at -125, 8% underpriced according to the benchmark and priced right on according to the combined decision rates of both fighters. But what I think is interesting here is the Lauren Murphy has been to decision 9 of 13 times in her career. She's only been finished in 1 loss, and the 2 wins were against Lilia Shakarova and Mara Romero Barella. So she's not finishing high-level UFC competition. And she's also very durable. So if we count on that, I don't think that the -120 is a bad line here, or -125 for the over 2.5. But I think it's actually -120 right now on DraftKings, which makes it a little bit more attractive of a bet. But that leaves us with one more order of business, you guys. We got to find out who is going to shave ass this weekend. Who's running into a dick saw here? Who's going to just go out there and absolutely kill their opponent? And there's a lot of great spots. I mean, we've got a lot of wide lines. Jailton Almeida is -900. I'm not giving you that. Gregory Rodriguez -320. Not giving you that. Moises -365. Not giving you that. Stamann -365. Not giving you that. Joe Benavidez over Zarah Fairn -550. I'm not giving you that either. I got to give you something on a closer line. And I got to give you something where I think somebody is really going to go out there and shave some ass. Who's it going to be? I didn't want to take the coward's way out, so I took a very closely lined fight, and I took somebody that when they win, they bring the razor and shaving cream into the cage, and they mercilessly shave their opponent's ass. And who better to carry the Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week banner for UFC 283 than Terrance T-Rex McKinney. This kid, Ismael Bonfim, is a hell of a prospect and a hell of a fighter, but he is going to be put through hell in the first minute of that fight. And he is never, ever going to see that kind of aggression, fury, volume, and absolute terror that Terrance McKinney brings to the cage in the first minute and a half. The only guy that really survived, this version of Terrance McKinney was Drew Dober, and Drew Dober is in the top 2% of durable fighters in the UFC. We have no reason to believe that Ismael Bonfim has that kind of durability, and we've never seen him tested at the level that Terrance McKinney is going to test him. This line is entirely too close. I will be placing a Terrance McKinney money line bet because there is no value in the inside the distance or the first round prop. So we know that Terrance can wrestle. Let's assume that maybe he does win some minutes here, that he's changing his style, that he's growing as a mixed martial artist, and it might take him a little bit longer to finish this fight. So let's just say the Terrance McKinney money line is a smash spot. Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week is Terrance McKinney, and I think that he's going to get that job done by first round submission against Ismael Bonfim, ruining his UFC debut in front of his hometown crowd. We did it. We broke down 15 fights. We had some fun. We had some laughs. We made some picks. And now we're ready to stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 283. Thank all of you guys for hanging out on a Tuesday night with your Uncle Weezy. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. God bless each and every one of you. I will be back tomorrow with a greasy four-leg parlay right here on this channel. I will be back tomorrow on Pub Sports Radio at 6 o'clock Central Time for the DFS show. And I will also be back tomorrow, 10 o'clock Central Time, for another version of Ask Weezy so that you guys can ask me any questions about any of the stats, the database, any of the numbers that we have on these fighters so that we can find ways to stack cash tickets like flapjacks and make the bookies cry on this card coming up this Saturday. UFC 283, Brazil stand up, 2 championship fights, and let's make some money betting on the UFC, everybody. Good night, God bless, and I will see you guys tomorrow for 3 different shows, 2 right here on this channel and 1 on Pub Sports Radio. Be well, everybody. Have a great night.